So our lesson for today is all about appraisal. Before going to the purposes of appraisal or performance evaluation, why do we need to have appraisal? Why do we need to have a good instrument as a basis for appraising our employee? Ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin ng appraisal? Bakit kailangan ang isang appraisal? Appraisal or employee evaluation is a system of verifying the performance of the workers, whether or not he or she was able to reach the output or the expectations laid down by the employer. If we would go back to the previous lesson, we discussed that the employee or workers should at least know what is expected from him or what is expected from her, or the employee to do, to do his best, to do what is assigned from him. Dapat malaman mo na ni employee kung ano ba yung mga expectations sa kanya. Appraisal is also a formal inquiry which is used as a basis for personnel movement. We have different kinds of movement. We have promotion, we have demotion, yan yung mga iba't ibang klase ng movement. So, one of the basis in determining of whether or not the employee may be promoted is a proper, a correct instrument known as evaluation form. And this evaluation form is gathered and placed in the 201 file of the employee. If you would ask me kung gaano ba kadami in a year ginagawa ang performance appraisal or performance evaluation, it would depend on the custom or culture of the organization. Maaari kasi na once a year lang yung performance evaluation or twice a year or every quarter, depende yan kung ano yung na-set or na-establish na rule ng company. So, si employer ang magde-determine kung gaano ba kadalas ang pag-evaluate niya ng employee. Kung kailangan niya malaman, masuri, kung sino ba naman sa mga employee yung karapat-dapat na ma-promote, then most likely, kung maraming vacancy, then appraisal should be done more oftener in a year. An appraisal plan and instrument should be developed by the management to determine the aspect that is important in the purview of the company. Hindi po pwede na yung performance evaluation or appraisal is based on gut feeling. Kailangan scientific ang approach dyan. Kailangan scientific ang method dyan. Why? There are possibilities that the employee, yung worker who is not promoted might question the validity of promotion. Kung pwede kasing questionin ni employee, si employer. Huwag natin sabihin na napakalakas naman ang loob ng employee kaya questionin niya si employer. Okay? It is one of the fundamental rights of the employee to ask in a nice manner, in a humble manner, why he or she was left behind and the other employee was promoted. Kaya kailangan scientific, kailangan may basis. Lalo-lalo na kapag mas mataas ang qualification ng employee na hindi na-promote. Kaya po pwede niyang questionin kung ano ba yung nangyari. What made the employer or HR manager decide na siya yung maiwan at ang ma-promote yung isa which has less than the criteria or competency or qualification na meron yung employee na hindi pinili. Kaya kailangan scientific. There should be a basis. May basihan. So, let us proceed. Ano ba yung purpose ng performance appraisal? Why do we need to have performance appraisal? It may either be strategic, administrative, and developmental. Pag sinabi natin strategic, it establishes a link between the character of the employee and the organization's goal and objectives. In your HBO, I would presume na you already discussed this topic in your HBO. This is just a recapitulation or inulit lang yung topic na ito. Pero I believe that your subject HBO had a full-blown discussion regarding performance appraisal. So kapag sinabi kasing kailangan merong link, yung character ni employee doon sa organizational's goal and objective, the personal goal of the employee should fit the organization's goal and objective. So, bakit nga? Para lang yung vision mission. Vision mission ni PLV. For example, kung ang goal or kung ang vision ng isang employee ni PLV, for example, is different from what was established or what is established by PLV, then magkakaroon ng clashing of goals, clashing of vision. Hindi magkakaroon ng synchronization or hindi magkakatugma yung nilay down na objective ni organization doon sa objective ni employee. And mahihirapan pareho sila. Halimbawa, sabihin natin na ang goal or objective nitong organization is more on volunteerism. Okay? Pero si employee, hindi yun ang kanyang goal. We have another goal which is sabihin nating personal gain. Magkaroon ng pera, magkaroon ng material benefit. So kung hindi magkakatugma yung goal ni organization at goal ni employee, hindi ma-achieve yung output na kailangan nila pareho. Kakabanggaan sila. And in the long run, maaring frustrate the organization and the same si employee din, which would amount to burnout, stress, and ultimately, baka mag-resign si employee. Or sa partner organization, baka ma-terminate niya si employee naman. So, kailangan pareho, kailangan pareho yung adhikain. Kailangan pareho yung gustong mangyari ni employee at ni employer. So, yun yung number one reason, or purpose ng performance appraisal. Doon sa questionnaire, doon sa instrument, tawag dyan, ang HR term dyan ay evaluation instrument. Okay? Evaluation instrument. Para mag-set tayo ng isang terminology which is apt doon kay HR. So, si evaluation instrument. Kailangan klaro si evaluation instrument at sa pamamagitan niya, malalaman kung pareho ba ang gustong mangyari ni employee doon sa gustong mangyari ni organization. At hindi po pwede na si organization ang magpapasakop kay employee. It should be the other way around. Si employee ngayon dapat, since siya yung papasok kay organization, siya yung magpapasakop sa goal, sa objective, vision, mission ni organization. Ang tawag dyan is strategic purpose. Now, kapag sinabi namang administrative purpose, it establishes a correlation as a basis of promotion. Yesterday, I gave you some instruction regarding Likert scale. Okay? So, paano ba ginagamit si Likert scale? Doon, yun ang magiging rating ni employee kay Likert scale. So, Madaming klase ang Likert scale. Merong 5, merong 4, merong 7 scales. Ano? Pero normally, ang ginagamit na scale ay 5. So, ano ba yung 5 na yan? Maaring um, um, very unsatisfactory or satisfactory or average or very satisfactory or excellent. Okay, with regard, kasi ang nire-rate ay yung performance employee. Okay? So, yun ang nire-rate doon. So, sabihin natin na si employee, nirate yung kanyang performance at lumabas ay 5. Excellent, outstanding. So, this may be, tandaan niyo may be. This may be a basis for promotion ni employee. Sir, bakit po maybe? Kasi madaming mga factor yung pagpopromote kay employee. Hindi lang ang performance appraisal ay isa lang doon sa factor para ma-promote si employee. Hindi ibig sabihin na magaling si employee sa trabaho niya, okay na siya. Meron din human relation factor. Siya ba ay aayos din makihalubilo? Siya ba ay respectful? Magalang ba siya? Sumusunod ba siya sa office decorum or office rules and regulation? So yan yung mga tinitignan as well as educational qualification. Okay? So, isa sa mga purpose ng performance appraisal ay maging basihan para sa promotion. And then the third one is developmental. It establishes areas of possible development to the person of the employee. What does that mean? There are questions in the instrument na kung si evaluator ay mahusay, ay skilled as evaluator, malalaman niya what are the areas of concern. What are the areas na mahina si employee. And this is one of the tasks of HR practitioner to develop employee or employees to reach their maximum potential. Okay? To reach their maximum potential. Hindi yung, ay okay lang yan, bahala siya sa buhay niya. Kailan niya buntot niya. No, that is wrong. Okay, kailangan si HR should at least find ways, find means para ma-develop si employee. So, ano yung paraan para ma-develop? Doon sa areas of development, halimbawa, very poor si employee sa isang area, pwede siya ngayon mag-create ng trainings, ng seminars para ma-improve si employee. And what is the use of employee improvement? Kapag na-improve si employee, yung improvement niya would amount to increase of production kay employer. So dalawa rin sila makikinabang doon. Si employee magkakaroon ng additional skills. Si employer naman, mas tataas yung production niya dahil gagamitin ni employee yung natutunan niya. Kaya take note guys, this is very important, yung developmental purpose. Hindi ibig sabihin na kung lumabas na very poor sa ganitong area, si employee, pabayaan na ni HR. Trabaho ni HR yan. Maghanap, mag-isip, magplano ng trainings, ng seminars para ma-develop si employee to reach the maximum potential. Yung optimum ang tawag. Okay? Para in a way, natulungan ni HR si employee, which would also redound to the benefit of the employer. Okay, so ang magiging acronym natin dyan, SAD. Okay, although it has negative connotation, yung SAD. Pero yan yung acronym for easy recollection. S stands for strategic, A stands for administrative, And D stands for developmental. So, titignan natin yung instrument. Okay? Instrument that the employer or human relation officer should possess all of that qualification. It should be valid, reliable, and acceptable. Tulad ng binanggit ko last time, hindi ko pwede na gut feeling lang. Ay ito, tansya ko magaling to, sige promote natin. Ito, maganda to, o gwapo ito, sige promote natin. So hindi dapat ganun ang basis for promotion. It should be valid, reliable, and acceptable. So, therefore, the person who is tasked to do the instrument should be skilled in doing so. And in our company, ang tinatask dyan ay isang psychometrician. Okay, isang psychometrician. Kasi yung psychometrician uses scientific method. Meron silang paraan, meron silang measurement on how they would arrive at a particular instrument. And yesterday, hopefully nabasa niyo yung binigay ko kahapon doon sa group chat natin. Very short presentation yun ng isang measuring instrument. Yung paggamit ng weighted mean, yung paggamit ng Likert scale. Kung nakuha nyo yung proseso at tama yung paggamit ng measuring instrument na yun, then hindi na kayo mahihirapan. Hindi naman kailangan na kayo ay magaling sa math. Very basic naman yung weighted mean. And also, yung paggamit ng Likert scale, very basic din siya. Kaya naibigay ko na yung pointers doon. All that you have to do is to at least use that properly. Paano gagamitin yon? Yung binigay ko, in-upload ko Likert scale at weighted mean. Okay, so proceed tayo. Ano ba what does validity mean? Para sabihin na this appraisal or evaluation instrument is good or would pass the requirement, paano ba natin masasabi na validity is important? So, pumapasok sa validity ng instrument yung content nito. Ano ba yung laman ng instrument? Okay? Kaya kailangan the questions posed or the questions asked in an appraisal instrument should be valid. So, doon tinitignan yung content niya. Itong katanungan ba na ito ay naaayon doon sa ini-evaluate? Baka mamaya hindi naman naaayon doon sa evaluate. Baka mamaya yung katanungan doon has no relation at all with the work being done by that individual. Okay, so kailangan valid. Halimbawa, the questions or the question asked, halimbawa is, do you possess, halimbawa lang, do you possess leadership style? Pero ang trabaho nitong individual does not need any leadership characteristic. So walang relasyon, walang correlation. Kailangan valid yung mga tanong. Kapag may tanong doon, the answer to the questions have something to do with the work assigned to that individual. Content yung validity. Pangalawa, reliability. Is it reliable? Is it consistent? Reliability means consistency. So, Yung katanungan ba, if given to this group of individuals, the same ang lalabas? Kailangan reliable yung tanong. Consistent. Okay, consistent na ito yung magiging kasagutan doon. And lastly, acceptability. No? How acceptable is that instrument to the individual being appraised? Tanggap-tanggap ba yung mga katanungan? Okay? If the questions asked is not acceptable, for example, or degrading, for example, then yung requirement as to acceptability is nowhere to be found. Kailangan kompleto yung tatlong requirements na yan para sabihin na, okay, this is a good appraisal instrument and it will pass the test. Okay, pwedeng gamitin ito. This is an advice, ano? Sooner or later, you will be having your feasibility study. Early as now, ganitong kaaga, I would like you to be aware of the different questions asked in your feasibility study. Kasi magbibigay kayo ng questionnaire in your feasibility study. So the questionnaire in your feasibility study should have something to do with the business you are about to set up. Kailangan merong relasyon yan, hindi yung kung ano-ano lang yung ilalagay niyo para may maitanong lang kayo. Maaari kasi mangyari doon sa questionnaire or instrument na gagawin ninyo, halimbawa, demographic. Ang demographic pa ay kailangan malaman. Ano ba ang relasyon ng pangalan, ng gender? Tandaan nyo we should be gender sensitive. Okay, so aga ng lecture ko para sa inyo visibility. Okay, do not use sex doon sa inyong instrument. I would suggest that you use gender. Okay, so may relasyon ba halimbawa yung gender na katanungan ninyo doon sa business ninyo? Kung walang relasyon halimbawa, then ba't nyo pa itatanong si gender? Sa ganun yung halimbawa, kailangan yung instrument ninyo sa company, kung halimbawa you will be practicing HR, should pass yung validity, reliability, and acceptability. Napakahalaga niyan para makapag-arrive kayo kung itong taong ba, itong employee ba na ito, na ine-evaluate ninyo, ina-appraise ninyo, ay tama yung mga katanungan nyo para sa kanya. An instrument is not 100% perfect. Okay? There may be problems in an instrument. Maari magkaroon ng problema sa evaluation form. Kasi sino ba yung mga nag-evaluate? Iba-iba yan. Maaring superior, maaring peer, or kasama sa trabaho, maaring client or customer, lastly, self-evaluation. Pero si self-evaluation is more prone to partiality. Ano? I-rate mo ba yung sarili mo na very poor? For sure, hindi. Lahat yan, 100. Kaya, most of the time, si self-evaluation, hindi yan ginagamit. Kung ginagamit man, siguro, may mga katanungan, halimbawa na tinitignan lang kung consistent doon sa mga kasagutan ng superior or ng employee. Halimbawa, kung ang tanong halimbawa ay, do you see yourself as qualified? Nasagot mo, I am very much qualified. Pero doon sa mga kasamahan mo, hindi ka naman qualified. Okay, so, tinitignan yung consistency ng mga kasagutan. Pero most likely, hindi gaano ginagamit yung self-evaluation. So, ito yung normal na problems sa isang appraisal instrument. Problems of varying standard, recent effect, central tendency, rater's bias, halo effect, compare, and contrast error. So again, na-discuss nyo ito sa HBO ninyo, pero bigyan ko kayo ng konting very brief discussion regarding this slide. Ano? Kapag sinabing problems of varying standard, iba-iba yung standard ng tao. Your standard might not be the same as mine. My standard might vary from your standard. So kung halimbawa, paano kung ang magre-rate sa employee ay madami? Madami. Sabihin natin 10 peer, 10 kasamahan sa trabaho. And they have different standard. Halimbawa, iba-iba yung standard nila. Maaari yung isa, yung standard niya, ganito lang. Maaari yung isa, mas mataas yung standard. So, hindi niya mamimit yung consistency ng kasagutan. Iba-iba yung magiging rate ng employee. Dagdagan pa, kung si boss halimbawa, yung magre-rate din. Okay? In PLV, ang ginagawang batayan ng magre-rate, the ratings, I would presume that some of you have evaluated your instructor, maaaring ako na-evaluate nyo, or your other instructors, no? Kasi ang pag-evaluate sa instructor natin sa PLV, number 1, it might come from the student. Number 2, it might come from the chairperson. Okay? And then, number 3, it might come from the different colleagues ng instructor. So, lahat ng mga yung pinagsama-sama. So, paano kung iba-iba yung standard? Diba? Paano halimbawa yung student, ang standard niya, ay si Sir, mabait ito si Sir. Binibigyan ko mataas na marka, mataas na grado. Sige, i-rate ko siya ng perfect, 100. Pero yun ang standard niya. So what about yung ibang classmate? What about si colleague? What about si chairperson? So ito yung isa sa mga problem. Since nagwa-vary, iba-iba yung standards ng tao, so this may cause as a problem. So another one is the recent effect. So ano ba yung recent effect? Recently, ano ba yung naging ugali nitong taong to? Siya yung recent effect. Recently, may nagawa siyang tama. Okay, so based on what he did before, tama, actually, tama. Maganda yung kanya ano. Paano kung recently ang nagawa niya ay hindi tama? Ay meron siya nagawang kamalian. So yun ang magiging basis. Yung recency ng pag-evaluate sa employee. Third one is central tendency. The central tendency pumapasok kapag average yung nagiging resulta o neutral. In some other instrument, neutral yan. So, pwede gamitin si neutral or pwede gamitin si average. So, paano kapag puro average, puro neutral yung isasagot? How would you evaluate neutrality or pagiging average? Sakto lang. Yan yung Tagalog yun. Sakto lang. Mahirap na. Mahirap yung merong central tendency. Nasa gitna lang. Position mo ay hindi na naka-quantify. Hindi na-quantify yung position na ini-evaluate na employee. And then, rater's bias. Paano kung, sorry for the word, paano kung sip-sip kay boss? Paano kung lahat ng inuutos ni boss tayo, ginawa mo? Pero, in terms of production, wala ka na po-produce. Pero pag may sinabi si boss na, sige, gawin mo ito, which is outside the scope of work ng employee. Pero dahil ikaw ay sip-sip or ikaw ay sumusunod sa pinapagawa ni boss na hindi related sa trabaho, maaari ka ma-rate na um, maganda yung iyong performance. Okay? So yun ang rater's bias. Halo effect. Kapag sinabi halo, halo yun yung bilog sa ulo ng mga angels, ulo ng mga saints, yan, halo. Sir, bakit po halo ang tawag doon? Bakit halo effect? Halimbawa, merong isang magandang katangian sa'yo. So yung magandang katangian mo would suggest all things na maganda sa'yo. Sabihin halimbawa na, ito, this employee is, sabihin natin, respectful. Dahil respectful sa employee, using Halo's effect, lahat na ng mga positive na trait ay sasuggest na meron siya. And then compare and contrast error. So compare and contrast, tinitignan, compare, pinagmamasdan, tinitignan ang yung performance ng isang tao based sa another individual, for example. Okay, so yun ang compare and contrast error. Paano naman yung cycle ng appraisal? Paano ba dapat magkakaroon ng isang appraisal or evaluation program? So, unang-una, there should be an appraisal plan. Okay? Hindi basta-basta na lang sabihin na, sige, mag-evaluate tayo. Pinaplano yung pag-evaluate. So, paano po pinaplano? Normally, in appraising an individual, minsan it is done every year, once a year. So, pinag-uusapan yan, hindi yung naisip lang, sige, mag-evaluate tayo. Why? We would go back to the purpose. Ano yung letter D, the SAD, developmental. Para malaman mo kung ano ba yung problema ng mga employee mo. Of course, kailangan yung pag-appraise should be done per schedule. Kaya dapat pinaplano pag-evaluate o pag-appraise. And then, instrument validation and approval. Normally, this is done once lang eh. Isang beses lang. Ano tinitignan, una, kung first time ka gagawa ng instrument, pina-validate yan. Kapag na-validate yan, tama ba yung katanungan? Okay, yung katanungan, reliable ba? Reliable. Acceptable ba? Acceptable. And then ipapa-approve kay boss. Okay? The employer should always have a hand over the instrument. Dapat alam ni boss ko ano ba yung basis ng pag-appraise or pag-evaluate. Now, after nung first time na makagawa ng instrument, kailangan pa rin na on the next time na gagamitin yung instrument na yun, kailangan pa rin tignan kung pa ba yung mga katanungan na ito, dapat pa ba itanong to or i-scrap natin or gagawa tayo ng another set ng instrument. Pero if that instrument ay still be used, then kukunin nila, ililift nila yung unang nila nagawa na instrument. Kasi kung walang psychometry siya ng company, napakamahal gumawa ng isang appraisal instrument or evaluation instrument. Kasi, ano yan eh, intellectual property yan eh, talagang pinapag-aralan, binubusisi yung bawat katanungan dyan. Third one is implementation. Ito na yung panahon kung kailan i-evaluate yung mga employees. After evaluation, i-gather yung data. Okay? Kukunin yung mga data na nakuha doon sa evaluation at gagamit ng statistical measurement. Hindi yung ipili nila sila, okay, ito, si ganito, for promotion siya dahil wala lang, gusto ko lang. So, kailangan may statistical measurement. Why? Because any person may complain or may contest the decision made by the higher authority. And then, there is final evaluation. Kapag nakuha na yung statistical treatment after gathering data, kailangan i-evaluate. Pag-uusapan ni HR manager, ni employer, yung result ng evaluation instrument. And lastly, at pinaka-importante ay feedback mechanism. Kailangan kausapin ni HR yung mga employee who were subjected to an evaluation. Ito ang strengths mo. Ito yung weaknesses mo. Ito yung areas for improvement mo. Para malaman ni employee, ganyan pala ako sa paningin ng mga colleague ko. Ganyan pala ako sa paningin ni employer. Kasi ako, ang tingin ko sarili ko, ganito lang. Okay? Kailangan malaman niya. Only we have our face-to-face, I would be drawing on a board. Circles. Mga circles. Unang circle would suggest kung ano yung nakikita mo sa sarili mo. Okay? Sige. Nakikita mo na hindi nakikita ng mga kasamahan mo. Unang circle. And then, isang overlapping circle uli. Doon sa overlapping circle, ano yung nakikita ng mga kasamahan mo sa iyo na hindi mo nakikita. And then, a third circle na mag-overlap pa din, ano yung nakikita nyong pareho sa iyo. And yung fourth circle na nag-overlap pa din, ano yung pareho nyong hindi nakikita sa sarili mo. So, yun yung sa psychology, yun yung manner para at least makita kung ano ba yung perception sa isang tao. So, feedback mechanism is important para makorek yung employee kung meron siyang misgivings, meron siyang fault, para ma-improve yung sarili niya, ma-develop yung sarili niya. At kung meron siyang mga strengths, mga positive outlook, para mas lalong ma-enhance. Okay? Kailangan pa din ng enhancement. So why do we need an appraisal feedback? An appraisal feedback is good for human resource planning, for recruitment and selection, training and development, yung binabanggit ko kanina, career planning. Kapag sinabi career planning, ito individual na ito. Nakita natin sa evaluation niya that meron siyang opportunity to be a leader. So, i-groom natin siya para maging supervisor, para maging head ng isang unit. And ultimately, baka siya yung maging vice president or president ng isang establishment. Kailangan i-groom, Hindi po pwede na ang isang tao forever na siyang ganyan. Also, compensation program. Ang dami palang ginagawa ni employee. Overwork siya, underpaid. So, malalaman din yan doon sa evaluation. So, kapag nakita na underpaid siya and overwork, maaaring gumawa sa management ng isang salary scheme para mas lalo siya ma-motivate. Then, internal employee relation. In an evaluation or appraisal, malalaman mo yung sarili mo, malalaman mo yung problems mo, which would lead you to correct yourself. Kasi yun naman talaga yung kailangan natin, i-correct yung mga kamalian natin para mag-improve tayo. Then assessment of potentiality of an employee. O sino-sino yung mga mag-a-appraise. We have the immediate supervisor or a subordinate or peer or colleague, self and customer or client. Maaaring gamitin iba-iba, no? Maaaring gamitin ang isa, maaaring dalawa, or maaaring gamitin ang lahat ng mga ito. So, in a production company, most likely, ang ginagamit dyan, immediate supervisor or peer. Pero kapag ang trabaho mo, you are attending people, customer relation, may mga clients ka, the best way to evaluate you, or the best person to evaluate you, yung mga customer or yung mga client. Kaya pag kayo ay nagpupunta doon sa mga sa Alphamart or example, kung napansin ninyo, marami nanonood ng ano. Pag-turn off po muna yung mic.
Sorry, sir.
Okay. Encantado na ba yan? Ayun. Normally, doon sa mga grocery store, doon sa cashier, may mga nakalagay doon na faces, mga emoji. So may sad, merong masaya. So yun yung isa sa mga paraan para makuha yung evaluation ng customer doon sa performance ng mga employees. Okay, and then meron din tayong may in-upload ako doon sa group natin na link, performance appraisal. So again, gawa po tayo ng thought paper natin. I believe na yung paper natin. No? So ayun po. Now regarding your thought papers, tatlo na ata siya. Correct me if I'm wrong, ha? Tatlo na ata siya. Pwede niyo siyang ilagay doon sa canvas natin sa assignment side. So may nakalagay na assignment doon nyo na lang siya ilagay para early as na mababasa ko na yung content doon. Okay? Again, kapag sinabing top paper, this is a reaction paper. Siguro around 2 to 3 paragraphs kung ano yung inyong palagay doon sa napanood ninyong link na binigay ko. Okay? May katanungan po ba? Any question po?